needs to be influential. You don't need a microphone, a title, or thousands of followers. You just need to show up with Jesus in you. In a world chasing loud voices and visible platforms, godly influence often starts in the quiet places. How you carry yourself in a meeting, how you respond when misunderstood, how you speak life when others are tearing you down. It starts with your presence, and it flows from your faith. Hi friends, welcome back to Joyful Purpose Season 2. I'm so glad you're here. Today we're diving into a message that's close to my heart and straight from my book, Joyful Influence, Shaping Culture with Faith and Grace. After writing Joyful Leadership, I heard from women across industries, tech leaders, small business owners, teachers, and mothers who aren't just looking to lead better. They were hungry to understand how to live out their faith in spaces that often felt cold, competitive, or spiritually empty. The truth is, you can shape the culture around you without compromising your faith or your femininity. You can be soft and strong, gentle and firm, gracious and grounded. It's not about influence for attention, it's about influence for eternity. It's about both being practical and spiritual. Each chapter explores a different way your influence can shine. Your words, how to speak life in toxic environments. Your presence, how to bring peace and stability into chaos. Your decisions, how to choose integrity when shortcuts look easier. Your silence, how not saying something can sometimes speak volumes. Your action, how consistent faithfulness influences more than charisma ever could. You'll find wisdom from the Bible, stories of ordinary women living faithfully, and reflection questions to help you bring it all home in the book. I'm not writing this as someone who has mastered it all. I've stumbled. I've stayed quiet when I should have spoken up. I've spoken too much when I should have been still. But through it all, I've learned this. When you walk with Jesus, your very presence becomes a testimony. You don't have to push your way forward. You just have to plant yourself in Him, and He'll do the rest. Let's learn together what it means to influence with joy, shape culture with grace, and leave behind more than just work well done, but lives touched by love, truth, and the power of God. Ready? Let's begin. Leadership is about ownership. Influence is about impact. If you're wondering how I can honor God here, it's for the woman who doesn't want to just succeed, but wants to sow something eternal. You may not think of yourself as an influencer, but if you have Jesus in you, you already are. If you've heard this far, then your heart is probably like mine, longing to honor God in your calling, to make an impact without losing your soul, to lead with joy even when it's hard. Have you ever wondered if your influence really matters? Maybe you've thought, I'm not a leader, or I don't have a platform. But here's the truth. If you have Jesus living in you, you already carry the influence. Influence isn't about titles, microphones, or platforms. It's about presence. It's about the way you walk into a room, the way you respond in tough moments, and the way you reflect Christ in everyday spaces. So today I want to take you on a journey through the key themes of my book, like quiet influence, listening, encouragement, integrity, and legacy. Think of this episode as story time with reflection woven in. Let's dive in. The power of quiet influence. In Luke 7, there's a woman, unnamed, uninvited, who comes into a room full of Pharisees. She doesn't say a word. She simply kneels at Jesus' feet, washing them with her tears, and wipes them with her hair. And Jesus says, wherever the gospel is preached, what she has done will always be told in memory of her. That's influence without a microphone, without credentials, without a stage. Friends, I think sometimes we underestimate the small, faithful moments of our lives. The quiet prayer, the gentle answer, the act of showing up when no one else does. These things preach louder than any sermon we could ever give. Can you think of someone in your life who influenced you simply by how they lived, not by what they said? Our lives are often the only sermon someone will hear. Your coworkers may never open a Bible. Your friends may never hear about God. But they notice when you choose patience over anger, when you refuse to gossip, or when you lead with grace under pressure. That's the fruit of the Spirit speaking for you. I remember a season at work where people noticed I stayed calm in stressful situations. They didn't ask for a Bible verse. They asked, "How are you so steady?" That opened the door to share about the peace of Christ. So here's a thought. You don't have to force conversations about faith. Just live it consistently and let curiosity open the doors. It's all about listening. In a noisy world, listening is radical. Jesus himself models this. Remember when the woman with the issue of blood touched his cloak? He stopped. He asked, "Who touched me?" He gave her his time, his ear, and his compassion. Friends, listening is influence. When you take the time to really hear someone, you tell them you matter, and that opens hearts to healing. Ask yourself, who in your life right now needs you not to talk, but to truly listen? Influence isn't about the atmosphere. It's about creating safe spaces. What kind of space do you create? Do people feel safe around you? Safe to share? Safe to fail? To grow? Jesus created safe spaces everywhere he went. He invited Zacchaeus down from a tree. He saw the woman at the well. He welcomed the broken and the overlooked. As women of faith, we get to cultivate those spaces in our homes, at work, in friendships, where people feel both seen and safe. Excellence is a form of witness. Excellence isn't about perfection, it's about wholeheartedness. Colossians 3:23 tells us, "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord." That means your spreadsheet, your lesson plan, your kitchen, your meeting prep, all of it can be worship when you do it unto God. People notice integrity, they notice diligence, and that too is influence. So let's ask ourselves, am I approaching my work as a burden or as worship? Standing firm when your values are tested. It's easy to stay quiet to avoid conflict, but sometimes God calls us to stand graciously, humbly, but firmly. Think of Daniel refusing the king's food, or Esther risking her life to speak up. Influence isn't about winning arguments. It's about staying rooted in truth with love. And when you do, you often give others the courage to do the same. One of my favorites is influencing through encouragement. Every single person is walking around with silent doubts. Am I enough? Does my work matter? Your words can call out the gold in them. Jesus did this with Peter. You are the rock. He saw who Peter would become, not just who he was. So here's a challenge for you. Who can you encourage today? Maybe it's a child, maybe it's a coworker, a friend. Choose to speak life. It could be the very thing that shifts their future. Humility and multiplying influence. The world chases credit, but kingdom leaders lift others up. They celebrate the wins of their team. They mentor, they share wisdom, they invest in people. Jesus spent most of his time not with crowds, but with 12 disciples. And through them, his influence multiplied across generations. Your legacy isn't just in what you build, it's in who you build. Leadership also means holding grace and truth together. Grace without truth is shallow. Truth without grace is harsh, but Jesus modeled both. To the woman caught in adultery, he said, "Neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more." That's grace and truth. As influencers, we're invited to walk in that same tension. Not avoiding hard conversations, not shaming others, but leading with love and clarity. So what does it mean to live with joyful influence? It means recognizing that influence isn't about being the loudest or most visible. It's about faithfulness. It's about showing up with Jesus in you. Every hallway conversation, every quiet prayer, every choice to love when it would be easier to judge. You already carry influence. Not someday, not when you're promoted, not when you feel ready. Right now. So keep showing up. Keep choosing peace over hustle, grace over gossip, courage over silence. Keep building people, not just projects. Because influence isn't about making your name known. It's about making His love felt. I did not say all of this from a place of having it all figured out, but from the middle of the same tension you walked through. There were seasons I doubted my voice, times I felt invisible, moments I wrestled with choosing grace over reaction. But I've seen what God can do with a willing woman. One who shows up, one who says yes, one who doesn't need to be the loudest, only faithful. If that's you, keep going. Your influence is already shaping the culture around you, not just in big decisions or public wins, but in quiet faithfulness, in kindness, in integrity, and in your joy. Thank you for letting me walk this journey with you. I'm cheering you on as you keep rising, not just for success, but for the sake of the kingdom. Lead with joy. In the hard moments of leadership and influence, be prayerful before being decisive. Speak clearly but never carelessly. Protect dignity even when enforcing boundaries. Let your yes be yes and let it reflect Jesus. You may never see the full fruit of your influence at work, but that doesn't mean your impact is small. Some seeds grow slowly, but keep planting anyway. Your influence was never meant to stop with you. In the kingdom of God, we're not called to hoard wisdom or protect our platform. We're called to equip, empower, and entrust others to carry the work forward. Raising others is not a distraction from your leadership. It's the legacy of it. You don't lose impact by sharing it. You multiply it. Showing up every day, doing the work even when it's boring, choosing faithfulness over flashes of brilliance. It may feel ordinary, but God honors ordinary done in obedience. Your consistency is a seed, and in time it will bear fruit that charisma never would. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Joyful Purpose. If this message encouraged you, share it with a friend who needs to be reminded of the influence they already carry. And if you want to go deeper, you can grab my book, Joyful Influence, Shaping Culture with Faith and Grace on Amazon. I pray it blesses you as much as it blessed me to write it. Until next time, keep leading with joy, keep shining His light, and remember, you are already an influencer because Jesus lives in you.